Now, today marks the ongoing commemoration of 80 years since the liberation of concentration camps and the end of World War II. And later, their Holocaust survivors will be at Auschwitz along with several freed hostages. Scripps News national correspondent Alex Miller is live for us in New York City. And Alex, what can you tell us about how people there are commemorating the Holocaust today?
Well, there are events happening all over the city today, and that is because it is as you said, 80 years since the Holocaust, since the concentration camps were liberated. Now, here in New York City and across the country, more than 9,000 anti-Semitic incidents have been reported since 2023. It's a 5% increase from the year prior. And here in New York City, there is an exhibit happening to honor Anne Frank and to teach people what happens when anti-Semitism goes unchecked in society.
A story told 3,600 miles from Amsterdam. 8 decades later, Anne Frank's life front and center in New York City.
This is not something that could be denied. This is not something that should be distorted. This happened, and we give you the information, the artifacts, the stories, the suffering, the pain.
The hallways tell the story of the Frank family's experience. From Frankfurt to Amsterdam, in hiding and in concentration camps, mirroring the forced migration Jews saw throughout Europe. But looking at photos is one thing. Stepping into their life is another.
I think part of this is really understanding each other's humanity.
An exact replica down to the size of the space and even the wallpaper of the annex where 8 people hid for 2 years. Michael Glickman, an advisor to the exhibit, says the questions from students immediately flow.
They're asking about how people could allow this to happen. They're asking about how government didn't stop this. They're asking about whether or not something like this could happen again today. I think they're looking at how the world is moving in this particular moment, and in some cases they're seeing parallels with hatred.
For so many of these students, it's the first time they've interacted with anyone Jewish or heard Jewish stories.
I think they're wondering how something like anti-Semitism, which led to the most destructive, most awful, most evil part of humanity, could be rising again, particularly here in New York.
The ADL just recorded the highest numbers of incidents in its 46-year history, a 5% increase from 2023, with New York leading the nation. But notably, anti-Semitism happens everywhere, all 50 states and D.C., 1 in 5 on college campuses, but also in K-12 schools. As Holocaust survivors die, there's a unique urgency to connect with new generations, ones who will never have those face-to-face conversations that have gripped so many up to this point. Anne's story focuses on her life before the camps and the evil that rose around it. It's one Glickman says many students can see glimpses of themselves in, and that has been the goal. Her father, Otto, told an American class in 1974, Anne wanted a legacy to live on.
Her courage and optimism, her faith and her belief that one day the good forces will win over the bad ones, and that there will be peace and understanding in the world if we all work for it, has become a source of inspiration for many people, especially for young ones.
Glickman says the hope is to bring the lessons of Anne's experience to interactions today.
Our hope is that the next time they're on social media, the next time they're in conversation with a friend, the next time they hear something, that they at least think about what their reaction should be and could be before they respond.
And Andrew, Anne would have been 95 years old today, meaning that this history really isn't that old when you think about the fact that she could have been alive today. She was born the same year as MLK Jr. You know, today there are just 220,000 survivors left in the world. Roughly 25,000 died last year alone. And when you think about those years, the only ones that are left were children or very young adults during the Holocaust, and just 18% of them live here in North America. So that is part of the reason that this exhibit has been extended through October in an effort to bring as many people as possible to this story if they're not going to be able to meet a survivor in person.
Some really important perspective there. Scripps News national correspondent Alex Miller for us live in New York. Alex, thank you.